Hi, Gina Chubisi here, your favorite psych nurse practitioner, coming at you again with another video today. I'm gonna talk about how to self-soothe while you're dating.
Why is it that some people feel like they want someone else to take away their pain, and how can we learn to soothe ourselves instead?
Yeah, many of us grow up not being taught the art of dating. And I think especially when you find yourself dating in your late 30s, 40s and beyond can be challenging if you haven't developed the skill to do it. It might feel overwhelming, especially for people who might have anxious attachment style, and might feel like they have the mindset of being rescued. So for example, you're maybe texting or the talking stage and you haven't been able to hear from whoever you're talking to or texting to. In some cases, some of my clients, maybe an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and they get anxious. They're constantly looking at their phone like, oh my god, have you heard from him in 4 hours? Is he gonna leave me, blah blah blah? Or have you heard from him in a day or 2 or 3? Your abandonment stuff start to bubble up. Even this can show up in long-term relationships too. So the ability to be able to talk yourself back to your own self. Okay, how am I feeling within my body right now? As I'm telling myself, okay, I haven't heard from him or her. It can go either way, but this is more common maybe also in women. So you're feeling yourself, you're realizing, okay, I'm anxious, I'm feeling a sense of abandonment. So what can I do in this moment to reset my nervous system in order to not feel like, okay, once he texts me or I see that text, then all of a sudden like, okay, everything's better now, I heard back, and then that cycle continues. So feeling the anxiety and being able to tolerate sitting with the anxiety. One of the ways to manage is maybe going for a walk a little bit. If running is your thing, maybe going for a run. Some people even find it soothing in the moment to wear a bracelet. You go on Amazon or different shops, you can get a bracelet that you can use to kind of tap yourself and bring yourself back to the present, to kind of help you ease that anxiety feeling that you're feeling. Some people really feel anxiety as a painful experience, and it's true. Or even to panic attacks where they feel really shaky or might start sweating or might, wanting to kind of run into their own little shells. So going for a hike could be another way. Sticking your head in the freezer just to get that cold air on your face can help reset your nervous system. Taking a cold shower, taking a bath, self-soothing yourself in that way. Some people will say things like, oh, you're telling me, Gina, just taking a few deep breaths will help me soothe myself in this sense. Oh yeah, you might think it's just taking deep breaths, but if you're taking intentional deep breathing exercises, that can help reset your mind, your anxiety, and take your mind off the anxiety of waiting for that text to come in order for you to feel better or feel rescued or feel reset. Or you can start to engage in different things like, okay, focus on a class, taking a class or a hobby, or going out with friends, or really being intentional about finding supportive community that you can maybe go out or call in that moment. Another thing is maybe having a therapist that while you're dating, you can easily text or call for a session, just so you can get things off your chest, reset your nervous system, and feel yourself back. So even if you hear back from them, they are not your rescue to soothing your anxiety. You can feel okay within yourself. You have that agency to feel yourself, feel your feeling, feel your anxiety, and be able to use all these other strategies to help you center yourself while you're dating, because you're not defaulting that managing of yourself to him or her in some of the cases. And if that doesn't help, sometimes you can help looking at medications to help anxiety. There are medications you can take as needed to soothe your anxiety, or sometimes you might take medication on a routine to kind of abate the feelings that come up when you're super anxious in situations like that, and also minimize your feelings of desperation, because you're able to manage yourself, you're able to manage your anxiety, especially even depression. And staying off of social media can be another way to self-soothe yourself in that way, so then you're not having to compare yourself constantly at the other people who you might be considering, oh, they are in with somebody and you don't have anybody, but you have yourself, you have your community, you have hobbies. All those things minimize your vulnerability to being desperate. And the less desperate you are, the more you're able to attract that kind of person to you who has the same mentality, who has the same strategies in dating as you have.
Self-soothing was one of the most difficult things on my healing journey, As an anxious attached, when you have an issue with an avoidant attached partner, you want to reach out, you want to fix the problem, you want to get back to anything that makes you feel good, less afraid that they're going to leave. How I healed was by sitting with that discomfort. I wanted to reach out, so I had to sit there and push through. And one of the best things that I could have done was to mirror my avoidant attached partner. If they didn't reach out, I didn't reach out. I sat there, processed my emotions, questioned myself. Where was this feeling coming from? Why was I not feeling worthy? Who am I? You have to start to learn about yourself. Know who you are, what you bring to the table. Look at all of the beautiful things about you, the powerful things about you. And then it starts to make sense that you don't need to chase someone. If they don't have the capacity to see your value in their lives or see your worthiness in their lives, that's all right. It's better to let them go and find their happiness and allow yourself the chance to find someone who is going to love you and value you the way you deserve to. So get working on your healing. I promise you, it's worth it.
Let's talk self-soothing. What do you do when you are emotionally dysregulated? Everyone self-soothes. There are things that you do to make yourself feel better, calmer, more relaxed, happier, etc. It's just that some of those things are adaptive and some of those things are maladaptive. Like calling 5 people when you're going through something and offloading on them as a form of avoidance so you don't have to sit with your feelings. I want to share 3 things about self-soothing before I go into sharing recommendations. Firstly, self-soothing is a verb. So technically things like napping don't qualify as self-soothing. Napping can definitely be a means of coping. So it can be a coping strategy, but you wouldn't necessarily qualify it as a self-soothing technique. For example, let's say that you are worried. It is the evening and you have a speech to give tomorrow or you have an interview to go to tomorrow and you are feeling worried. Now you could sleep. If you can sleep, that would be great to get rid of the worry feelings. But a more appropriate picture of self-soothing in this instance could look like breathing exercises, stretching so that your body relaxes and isn't carrying the tension of the worry. It could even be you affirming yourself or talking to yourself that you have done your best, that you've prepared as best as you can. And then secondly, self-soothing is you regulating yourself, but that doesn't mean there isn't room for co-regulation. For example, I find very tactile or sensory ways very relaxing. So on my own, there's dry brushing, there's sort of establishing a rhythm of movement, whether I'm pacing, rocking myself, jumping up and down. I can do that on my own. But if there is a person around who can play with my hair, who can doodle on my back, that is something that would really, really relax me and calm me down. So there is room for co-regulation, but you can't constantly rely on others for that. You can't outsource that emotional labor and comfort all the time. And then thirdly, I want you to think about how you soothe yourself and really categorize it between healthy ways of soothing yourself and unhealthy ways of soothing yourself. Let's say you're driving on the road and something happens that dysregulates you. Either you make a mistake that upsets someone who ends up cussing you out, or someone else makes a mistake that ends up scaring you. Now you're dysregulated, unsettled, wound up, whatever you want to call it. What do you do? Are you the kind of person who would breathe and talk to themselves calmly? I am safe. That was scary. Everything is going to be okay. I am okay. Nothing bad happened. Nothing bad happened. Or would you avoid even acknowledging what just happened? Turn up the music, turn up the volume, get to work, forget it ever happened. In both instances, you are trying to soothe yourself. Finally, here's a list of self-soothing techniques that I would recommend.
These are 5 ways to self-soothe after an unpleasant or triggering experience. First thing you need to do is regulate your nervous system, and so whatever your emotions you're feeling, let them happen. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to throw something, safely do it. If you want to write about it, talk about it, scream about it, whatever you need to do to let those negative emotions out, do it before they fester. Second thing you can do is get comfortable. So this isn't always possible if you're out in public or your interaction happened at work or whatever, but if you can, take a shower, take a bath, put on your favorite PJs, get comfy in bed. Imagine just washing off that experience. Next, try box breathing. My favorite method is inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and exhaling for 6 to 8 seconds. Imagine you're inhaling good energy and you're exhaling whatever negativity you're still holding on to from whatever just happened. Next, seek out something that provides you immediate comfort, whether that's a TV show, your favorite food, lighting some incense, going for a walk, whatever your little things are that just make you happy and calm. Then finally, repeat to yourself, I am okay. I can spin my mindset right now. I can take care of myself. I am okay. Or whatever it is that has you feel okay. Stay safe out there.